So changing your perspective is the do it well part. The fun part is seeing the humor. Do you realize that humor does two things for us when we encounter stress? Freud felt that humor was the highest level coping mechanism that we have psychologically. And here's what it does for us. First of all, it balances out stress. If you can laugh in the midst of stress, the stress can't overwhelm you. Because you've created a buffer. You've created a distance between you and the stress by laughing in the midst of it. Not necessarily laughing at the stress, but laughing in the midst of it. Something funny happens in the midst of being stressful. Allow yourself to laugh. It'll buffer the stress. The second thing, though, which I think is the most powerful part of humor, is that humor changes our perspective. Now, let me take you back to my quality improvement days. In my quality improvement days, one of the things that's very important in quality or process improvement is brainstorming other perspectives of the problem. So if humor naturally takes your brain to that point, research has shown that if you put people in a brainstorming session but show them something funny before they start brainstorming, they will come up with more options. I was in Oklahoma City one time waiting for my luggage, and that can be stressful, right? Is it actually going to come out? So I'm waiting for my luggage, and they all look alike. The suitcases are all those black roller boards. And so I'm watching the suitcases go by, and I see a black suitcase go by, another black suitcase, another black suitcase, a woman's bra, another black suitcase. And right there on the conveyor belt, all by itself, no busted up luggage, no indication that it should be there, is a woman's bra. Now, I don't know what your reaction would be, but my first thought was, how does that happen? I mean, I'm not an engineer, but can it just pop off? I don't know how that works. And my next thought was, and who's going to pick it up? That thing just went round and round and round. Nobody touched it. And then once it went behind the wall, it didn't come back out. And now I'm thinking, what's going on behind the wall? So that made my day. Nothing's going to ruin my day at that point. I think we feel victims of stress oftentimes. Something happens and it causes us stress. What we don't realize, though, I think most of us don't realize, is that it's not the thing causing stress. It's how we see the thing that causes stress. Here's a cool thing about stress. Do you realize that stress is not inherently stressful? We think of stress as something that happens to us. The problem is, it's not. If stress was something that happens to us, then everybody would be stressed by the same things. The do-it-well part of stress management or attitude adjustment is you've got to work on your perspective. And so what I do is when I feel myself getting tense or I get that knot in my stomach or I start to feel sweaty or I feel hot, those symbols that or symptoms that are telling me something's going on, I pay attention to what am I thinking that's leading to this and how can I change that? I was with a group the other day and I said, what's that one thing that really causes you stress? And one woman goes, you know the thing that just gets under my skin, it just causes me no end of stress. I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be good. She said, when people park and they're not lined up with the lines in the parking lot. Something in here is telling her that that's meaningful. So here's the formula that you need to keep in your mind. Something happens, we give it some perspective or meaning the way we see it, and that results in how it affects us. Humor is a great way to get out of a difficult situation. I heard a story about a woman that got pulled over for speeding once. When the cop came up to give her a ticket, she reached out and gave him a get-out-of-jail-free card from Monopoly. And I'm thinking, that's brilliant right there. I read that story that very day. I went to my Monopoly game. I got my card and I put it in the glove box of my car. And I'm thinking, I can't wait. This is going to be awesome. And I didn't get pulled over for 10 years. But finally, I was going home for my sister's on Thanksgiving night. I get pulled over. Middle of the night, nobody on the roads. I get pulled over. And if you've ever been pulled over at night, you know, they got that big spotlight on you. I think they sit back there for a few minutes in case you throw drugs or a body out the window. Kind of makes it more exciting for them. But we're sitting in the car. My wife's in the passenger seat. I'm in the driver's seat. And we're waiting for the cop to come up. And I've got my get-out-of-jail-free card in my hand. And I said to my wife, what a great opportunity. I finally get a chance to use this. And my wife looked at me, and she looked at the card, and she said, "Do not give that cop that card." And there was this vein on her head that was just kind of pulsing like this. My wife had never been like this. She's very laid back, and I saw her and the intensity in her look. I could hear the Exorcist music playing. This is not my wife, and it kind of scared me, freaked me out. I just put the card back in the glove box. I didn't use it. And I got a $150 ticket. And I'm driving away, and I'm thinking, you big wuss. I mean, you're telling everybody to do this stuff. You won't do it yourself. So I got another chance. A few months later, I'm going home from a church meeting and get pulled over. Now, that right there is just not right. So I get pulled over. I'm waiting for the cop to come up. I have this folder in my lap from the meeting. I have this folder sitting in my lap, and it's got my license and my registration and my get-out-of-jail-free card, just all sitting there waiting for the cop to come so I can hand him whatever he needs. So the cop comes up. You know, he doesn't stand right next to you. He kind of stands behind you, and he's looking over my shoulder, and he looks down and he goes, "Get-out-of-jail-free card. That's hilarious." I'll just say this. I got a warning. And people come up to me all the time. They go, "Oh, I'd never do that. I don't want to irritate him. I don't want to upset him, you know." And I'm thinking, I didn't use it. I got the ticket. I did use it. I didn't get the ticket. It's not rocket science. I mean, what do you think he's heard all day? "Oh, I wasn't speeding. I think your radar's broken. I didn't see any sign." You know what I said? "Oh, yeah, I did it. But I got a coupon."